Yo, welcome back. Today I'll be reacting to What Happens When the Villain is Right by Scrawls. Okay, let's start.
Wait,
Adventure time?
no. Heroes are supposed to be right. Right?
No, heroes are
In
just
every
supposed
adventure
to...
cartoon and shonen anime,
Heroes are the main character. If the villain is the main character, then technically he's the hero. That's just it. Like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the main character. Like the movies are called Spider-Man. Batman, they're called Batman. Yeah, they're always the main character.
the protagonists take on heroic traits. They protect the weak, uplift their friends, and save the world. All goals shaped in contrast to those of a villain.
Yeah.
Yet when I look back at the stories that I love, I can't help but be drawn to that villain. In college, I'm reading Beowulf, an Old Norse. I can't
Well,
help
with
but be
Arcane, when Jinx is the main character, she's not the villain. She's the hero. She's protecting. Well, she's more of a victim. But yeah, she's protecting Son. Well, not really protecting Son. She's protecting herself or her mind, I guess. But yeah, she launched a rocket at the rich snobby guys. She's a hero. She's the main character.
drawn to that villain. In college, I'm reading Beowulf, an
When it's
Old
from
Norse
someone
myth
else's
that is a
perspective,
foundation of
she's the villain.
Western storytelling, in which a hero, Beowulf, kills a villain, Grendel. Yet
Haven't
despite
watched this.
Beowulf being the hero, I can't help but feel pity for Grendel. He's a monstrous, ogre-like, murdering giant compared to a demon, but he has a mother who mourns him. Villains are supposed to be evil.
I mean, dude, everyone has a mother. That's how they're born. Like that doesn't make you not as bad. Like I don't like how people always use him, but I mean it does work. So like Hitler had a mother. He had a wife and a kid, I'm pretty sure as well. That doesn't excuse what he did. Like he's still a villain.
Terrifying and wrong. But what happens when villains are more human than that? What happens when the heroes falter, stumble, or sin? What happens when the society...
Sorry for pausing. I mean, this guy was just sad. He was raised to be the dragon warrior, then suddenly comes some panda. He's denied all his life. Like every single second of his life was pretty much denied. Just for that.
What happens
Just
when the
because he was
heroes
unlucky.
falter, stumble, or sin? What happens when the societies that heroes defend are the ones that create villains? What happens when the villain is right?
A society that creates villains. I mean, no society is perfect. Like, there's always gonna be people who are on top and people who are below. That doesn't mean the people below have to, like, kill people, be terrorists, do all kinds of weird shit, just terrorize other citizens. That doesn't make it better. It doesn't make them right, at least in my opinion.
Tai Lung, Silco, and even Dr. Doofenshmirtz are all answers to this question. So sit back, Silco, and even
Like, these two, I can understand. Sure. He just wants a better future for Son. To be fair, they made him look like such a douchebag. Uh, Doofenshmirtz or whatever. What was his purpose? I thought he was just bored and he wanted to play with the Perry the Platypus. That was the whole point, no? That's why he waited for Perry before he did anything? Did he actually have any like grand plan? Like he has a daughter as well? And the daughter is fine. It's not like he did anything to her, like brainwash her into agreeing with him.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz are all answers to this question. So sit back and join me as we explore
like, I
the
can't
world
think of
of
anything.
villains. You are being hunted. This villain is chasing you right now. In fact, it's hunting all of us.
Sure.
A slow, terrifying hunt. This is the price of mortality, a price that
Death?
Puss in
Yeah.
Boots cannot accept. In doing so, he invites the first villain of this video to prove the hero wrong. In some stories, villains aren't mortal agents of evil, but
Well,
instead
Death
forces
in Puss in Boots, maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't really see Death as a character. It was more of a concept. And what I mean by that is, like, Death was never really there. What am I saying? Like, I can't
of
explain
nature
myself.
and the
I'll just shut
universe
up.
itself, attempting to undo the injustice the hero has created. Forces like death. You know it, you love it. Sometimes it's portrayed as a peaceful shepherd of souls, and other times, well, it becomes something out of a slasher film. In Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Puss faces death,
Yeah, it was a
not
nice movie.
metaphorically or figuratively or rhetorically, just death himself. In this case, Puss is the character who has sinned. Even though he's a hero, he's indulged in pleasures in each of his 9 lives, living recklessly until he realizes he's on his last one. And Death
How is that
decides
bad?
to end this kitty once and for all. Death is right. Puss has taken his lives for granted. Death's
So
hunt
what?
of El
It's
Gato
it.
can be
So
seen.
I see the point, but it's his life. Why can't he just take it for granted if that's what he wants? You know what I mean? By the way, I forgot to switch my stream to just chatting. Alright. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's his life. It's like, let's say he has a phone and he just smashes it against the wall. Is it wasteful? Yes. But it's his phone. It's like it's his to do whatever he wants with.
As an extension of the cycle of life and death. Puss has overstayed, thus someone must eliminate him. Yet I would argue
I thought
that
he was
Death
on his
is
last
still the
life.
villain, not just an antagonist.
Wait, I thought he still had 1 life left. That's why Death didn't kill him. That was the whole point, no? That's why he was running.
He's not a completely neutral arbiter. If he were, wouldn't he have just simply ended Puss's life? Despite the underlying moral justice, Death relishes in the fear he causes Puss. Death personified is cackling and playful. He drives Puss into corners, mocks him, brings on anxiety attacks and dread, gaining a sick kind of pleasure in enacting revenge. To me, this is villainous. It's only when Puss learns his lesson that
Oh yeah,
Death
he's the main
stops.
villain of
When
the
Puss
movie.
accepts his mortality and faces his fear, Death stops his attack, disappointed that his prey has ended their game of cat and wolf. Death is averted, but to return another day. Death comes for all of us, and in that, he's completely correct.
Yeah.
In Beowulf, when the Nordic warrior kills Grendel's mother, and the dragon, are we supposed to bat an eye? The modern idea of a hero and their adventures is so deeply influenced by Beowulf, and so the modern-day villain must draw from Grendel, right? Grendel, said to be the descendant of Cain, the Bible's first murderer, is clearly supposed to be evil. He
Yeah,
attacks a
isn't
meat
Cain...
hall every night.
Wait, I could be wrong. Isn't Cain supposed to, like, just wander the earth forever? Because, like, Cain is a cool name for me. So I did search it up at some point. Yeah. He has to wander the earth. Yeah, and others can't kill him. Okay, so he wasn't given immortality or anything like that. So he just died of old age. They had to put... Oh yeah. No correlation with skin color. Yeah. No remorse. Yeah, it doesn't say he was given a longer lifetime. So he probably just wandered for like a couple weeks, then died of exhaustion.
Murdering people in their sleep because he hates the noise of its revelry and celebration. And of course, that's terrible, about as monstrous as you can get. But I remember laying in my own college dorm room at night, trying to get some shut-eye for my exam the next morning when the neighbor next door decides it's finally time to party, blaring music until
Oh yeah,
4
that's
a.m.
super annoying.
Is it wrong to want peace? Does Grendel, like
Yeah,
Death
you don't even
himself,
bother like
simply want the
knocking on their
humans
door
to
because you know
stop
they're
their
just gonna
prideful
ignore you.
celebrations?
They're gonna
But
go
even when
quiet for like
Death
30
stoops
minutes, then
down
go
to
back to
follow
loud.
more human-like impulses, his wrath is focused on one person alone. On the other hand, a character like Castlevania's Dracula
I
lets
only
his
watched the
human-like
first
impulses
2 or
drive
3
him to
episodes.
ascend into being a force of nature.
Like Dracula itself, I do think he went too far, but I wouldn't blame him. I mean, they just killed his wife for what? Was it witchcraft or something? They burnt her just because she was doing a bit of science.
One that is apocalyptic.
Yeah, I don't see
Some
what he
villains
did
begin
wrong.
with heartbreakingly human intentions. We've all loved before, and in Castlevania, Dracula is no different. In this
Well,
Netflix adaptation,
the people who burned his wife were the villagers, so he should have just in he should have killed the villagers, leave the rest of the world alone, like, or at least try to change the world. There's no reason to just put the world in chaos. Just kill the villagers that killed your wife.
Dracula has a human
It's like school shooters. Why are you killing the innocent? They're not the ones that bullied you. Yeah, if you want to kill someone, kill the bullies.
wife named Lisa, a brilliant woman of science
It
and
doesn't make it
sass,
better.
whom the
Well, it does
humans
make it better,
accuse of
but it doesn't make it
witchcraft.
good.
Dracula, known to be a violent monster, had found domestic bliss with Lisa until she was burned at the stake by religious leaders. Dracula took this one action as justification of the evils of all mankind. What was seeded in love grew into loss and
To, to be fair, back then everyone was religious pretty much, and if you weren't, you were a demon or a witch. So you were burned at the stake or decapitated. So yeah, to be fair, yeah, most people would like say it was done correctly. That she was a demon, she should have been burnt.
exploded into something sick and massive. Dracula's plan to destroy all humans with a plague of
Yeah,
hellish
that's when he
retribution.
went too far.
Unleashed
He should have
armies
done the
and
villagers
armies
and
of
religion.
monsters across the land.
Because
If
religion
humans
itself
could hurt
was the
and
disease
unjustly
that
punish
got his
someone
wife
as
killed.
pure as Lisa, should they be allowed to thrive? Any one of them could have stopped it, Dracula says. Like the angry god of the Old Testament, Dracula seeks to cleanse the world.
I don't think it's that simple. Well, it's here's the thing. If a criminal goes into your car, or like, if a robbery is happening, and the robber goes into your car and you drive him to a safe place, guess what you are? An accomplice. An accomplice. You're going to jail with him. If you let's say you help a terrorist to bomb a building or something, guess what you are? You're also a terrorist. So if you help his wife, what are the chances that the super brainwashed religious people are gonna say you're a demon as well, and you're gonna be there with her, burning alive? What are the chances? I'd say 100%. I wouldn't help her either. I'd watch her get burnt. I'm not gonna put my life at the line because I know it's look at how many there are. I'm not fighting all of them and winning.
But
I'm just
unlike a
saying.
god, however, Dracula's efforts are haphazard, grotesque, and disorderly. Instead of that biblical flood of ocean, Wallachia is drowned in senseless seas of blood. The other vampires fighting alongside him even wish that his attacks are more orderly, more militaristic. But Dracula doesn't care. He falls into a strange depression, with nothing left inside of him but human
Well,
grief
if you're
and
orderly,
demonic
then
rage.
you can be
It's
predicted.
wrong to kill
Just
an
doing it
innocent.
randomly
That's
means
something
the
baked
enemy
into
can't
basic
predict it
morality.
and prepare for
And
your
it's
attacks.
right to mourn those we lose. But while a hero may hunt only those who lead the witch hunt against Lisa, a villain takes this moral failure and uses it to wipe out everyone, perpetuating an endless cycle of
Yeah,
violence.
that's the
Coming back to
problem.
Grendel,
He
there's a part
wipes
of me
out
that feels even more
everyone,
pity
not the
for his
people who
mother.
did bad.
While Grendel and his
Everyone.
mother are monsters, they only had each other, exiles on the edge of human civilization. Beneath that villainous
Sorry for pausing so much. His wife was human, by the way. So him saying that all humans are evil means his wife is also evil. Like there are other humans just like his wife. Just going crazy and killing everyone, it's dumb. Just kill the villagers and the religious people that condone it.
Expression of violence, these creatures cling to things that we all do. Community, family, love. And when Grendel dies, the only one who mourns for him is his mother, who lashes out towards the men who killed her son. Is it wrong to mourn those you loved? One of the surest ways to create a villain is to revoke that love from them. It's basically a cliche at this point.
Yeah.
Villains aren't born, they're made. But in Tai Lung's case, it bears truth.
Then you become a hero.
The villain of the first Kung Fu Panda movie is Tai Lung, a savage martial artist who was once a child prodigy.
I guess Batman is a villain to villains. Yeah.
Raised by Master Shifu. Master Shifu adopted the orphan, raised him, trained him, and loved him as if he was his own child. And as if he was destined to become the Dragon Warrior. Tai Lung himself was also exceptionally talented at fighting, mastering all 1,000 scrolls of Kung Fu. But despite Tai Lung's talent, Master Oogway saw only ambition and rage in the young warrior. Master Oogway denied the role of Dragon Warrior to Tai Lung, but Shifu, his master, essentially his father, did nothing. Said nothing on his son's behalf. And just like that, Tai Lung, his entire life
that's
changed.
Crazy. Like,
he
just
took this as betrayal and
crazy.
used his martial.
Even if you know you won't influence Uruguay, the turtle, you should at least speak out a bit. Like give him another try or something. It's crazy just watching in silence as your kid is just having his whole hopes, dreams, future, everything destroyed. Yeah.
Art skills to destroy. He would go on to ravage the Valley of Peace, then be imprisoned for 20 years
this was
in a
such
prison
a cool
built by
scene,
Oogway that had its construction overseen by the one person who had shown Tai Lung love. No wonder that when he broke out, he sought out to unleash his rage, hunting the new Dragon Warrior, a certain panda. I think there's a whole movie about that, actually. He said that it had been Shifu who filled his head with
You see what he did there? He got out, and instead of just going around killing anything that moves, or any panda, because he is a panda, right? Yeah, he's one of those little pandas. No, it's a femur or whatever, right? Instead of killing all of his master's rays, you know what he did? He beat up the Dragon Warrior, then got beat up, but he beat him up, then came to get revenge on the people who fucked him over, not on the whole world.
And drove him to train until his bones broke. Shifu had tried to build a hero out of an outsider, but when that title was denied to Tai Lung, the spark of family was snuffed out when he did nothing to help his son. But Tai Lung had nothing but his father and Kung Fu. So when one of those abandoned him, what did he have left? His father and the community around Kung Fu locked him away. In some ways, the heroes of the world were proving Tai Lung's spite right. Rather than try to sympathize with him, rehabilitate him, or find a new pathway for him besides being the Dragon Warrior, he was left to rot. Would imprisoning Grendel instead of killing him be any better? Would exiling his mother do any good but further her rage? Maybe when villains like Tai Lung are right, they expose something cruel in our idols. Fathers, masters, gods.
If what you mean is, you just have to end the cycle of revenge. Kill the whole bloodline. Yeah. If not, they're gonna get revenge on you, then it's gonna create a cycle. You just gotta get rid of all of them.
Gods and kings should not go by unquestioned.
I mean, I guess you don't have to kill the babies, because babies have no idea. Actually, no, the babies could grow up, read books about how you just massacred their whole plotline, and then come for revenge. So,
villains have the courage to show us the cracks in things like love and tradition. They force us to reconsider the forces we claim to be good.
Basically.
But Tai Lung's violence is still cruel. His pride is still wrong. Like a toddler throwing a tantrum, he seeks attention in the most destructive of ways. For instead of hunting a person or people, why not target a system? Imagine a city of light and pride.
I'm actually, I wish he stayed on this topic for a bit longer. Because I'm curious, what's this? How would you change the system? Like this system. Because the only way to challenge the system is by challenging the turtle. Since he's the one who chooses, right? He's the old man with the wisdom. So like he makes the rules. He is the system. You'd have to convince him that you're worthy. But he has like magic and shit, so he can see inside you and see you're full of rage. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason he denied you.
Progress. A whimsical steampunk metropolis. Sounds perfect, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
The
just
first
forget
season
the
was
part about this
pretty
being
good.
from League of Legends and you'll be
Season
fine.
2 was.
But this utopia is built on top an underground
meh.
of both lawlessness and community, darkness and the most
Like, they
scarred
tried to end
forms
it
of hope.
in
In
a
the
good
noxious
way.
fumes below, children play without care, while topsiders who venture down must wear masks, unaccustomed to the smog they've created themselves. This is the world of Arcane, and it's very easy to see the disparity between Piltover and its undercity,
Yeah.
sometimes called Zaun. But few people work to change this injustice when they spot it. Few people are like Silco. Growing up in the undercity, Vander and Silco face.
And to be fair, Silco was only a villain up to the point where he was kidnapped by Jinx and killed. Spoiler alert. I guess I should have said it before. But he was working towards getting independence without shedding blood after he like became a father to Jinx. Like before that he talked with the Jays. Let's see if he shows it. No, he doesn't. He talked with Jace and he was gonna have meetings and shit to, gain freedom from the upper cities. Piltover. So he did start as a cruel villain, but then he softened up with Jinx. And like he passed the villain threshold and went into becoming a hero, or almost neutral hero to hero.
The slums like brothers until Vander betrayed Silco for some reason, leaving Silco scarred and vengeful.
Didn't they say
Silco grew
the
into a
reason?
ruthless Chembaron who went to dangerous lengths
It was
to
just
control
that,
others in the Undercity and expand his drug
he couldn't
empire.
take it anymore, right?
And eventually
He couldn't
when
take the
Vander
bloodshed
was taken
after
out of the
Jinx
equation,
and Vi's
Silco took
mother
over more
died.
formally. Later on, Silco even made a deal with Piltover, arguing for the
Like,
Undercity.
He went from being a cruel villain that, to be fair, was cool. Like, even when he's first introduced, I thought he was cool. And then he came here.
To be liberated as the free nation of Zaun.
He's not
And
kidding.
surprisingly,
It's not really a revolution at this point. He's just gaining freedom. They're separating. It's perfect.
they
No
began to
bloodshed
listen to
here.
Silco. As violence between the two states grew, the disparity could not be denied any longer. The Undercity was being
Like he would have
discriminated
been a hero
against and
right there,
overwhelmed by
if
the
that
effects
worked,
of
if
pollution,
Jinx didn't
drug abuse, and apathy. But the Undercity was its own being by now. It could not continue
fair,
to be
he did,
dragged around and manipulated by Piltover. At the end of the first
did
season,
introduce a
the
drug
Council of
to Undercity
Piltover
and
gathered
made
to
pretty much
plan this
everyone
new change.
addicted.
We see that when the villain is right, sometimes change must happen. But as much as Silco pushed for a free nation of Zaun, and the council almost let it happen, other dominoes were knocked over. A certain blue-haired girl named Jinx, raised by Silco, chose to kill him. And then she let her destructive impulses free, unleashing devastation. And now Zaun's independence is still up in the air until we find out what happens next in Season 2. Silco represents not just rage at Vander, an individual, but a larger societal anger with a clear injustice in front of him. Why should his people suffer while topsiders live so peacefully?
True.
Why must society damn those below? But in the
Not wrong. They're both from the same city. Like Topside, Piltover, and Zaun, they're the same city. So why is there such a huge difference? I mean, you could say the same about Earth, the real world. Yeah, like, why they have to just be fucked completely? Well, they're fine.
the end, it's another form of betrayal that comes and ends.
Like, if the Piltover isn't gonna help them, then they should help themselves. They can't do that because of the guards coming into them and just taking people, killing them. They can't do shit. So what's the best way? Gain independence. Then if the guards try to do anything, they can fight back.
In Beowulf, the
Not a
Nordic
problem.
tradition is about strength. In King Hrothgar's, goodness is measured by his capability to conquer.
They killed cows.
It sucks that he's using
killed
Beowulf
horses, they
or
killed
the wolf thing?
Each
Because I don't know
other.
about
When
it.
Grendel attacks Hrothgar's mead hall, is he not just a reflection of the society's violence?
I began to be more amused than frightened by them.
I think it's the role of the villain to force change in a society and to hold a mirror to the madness that is
Can't really say
often
anything about
overlooked.
this part.
But
I
what
never watched
happens
this.
when a society traps a villain in this madness and laughs? Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz is
I'm curious
comically,
about this one.
aggressively, and kind of paradoxically
Because when I
evil
watched him, he didn't have
and
like a
pathetic.
message or
He
anything.
lives in a tower creating crazy weapons, fighting a secret agent every day, and he even has his own jingle. Dr. Doof's backstory is also filled to the brim with some of the most tragic and comically
Really?
tragic moments. Growing up, he was forced by his father to be a garden gnome. His mother failed to love him because he was bad at kickball. Apparently, his two parents weren't even there to show up at his birth. His life is driven to a cartoonish extreme.
Okay, these are jokes. These aren't actually like his mother wasn't actually like not there for his birth. Like that doesn't make sense.
Because, well, he's a cartoon. And in the series Phineas and Ferb, his everyday life becomes a kind of loop. Something in his everyday life inconveniences him, such as being insecure about a squeaky voice, or wanting to give his teenage daughter a nice birthday surprise. Then he creates something over the top to deal with this problem. Perry the Platypus stops him, and it blows up in his face, quite literally. As funny as he is, this loop also seems kind of like Sisyphus, the old Greek myth of the guy who had to push the boulder up and up, but only for it to fall over and over.
Yep.
Doof is trapped in the society of inconveniences, people who laugh at his viral fail videos online or disrespect him in the smallest of ways. He's stuck, constantly trying to improve his life but finding a new issue in his way. He's just like me for real.
Is he actually
And
trying
his
to improve
overzealous,
his life,
crazed
though?
ability to create dramatic giant machines to deal with every little problem
Like,
comes from a very
he's
human
just
place,
bored.
wanting to be respected, wanting to be happy, and wanting to make those he cares about safe and happy. We laugh at him not because he's completely wrong, but the ways he tries to solve his everyday issues are blown so far out of proportion. We get the satisfaction of seeing them bite him back in the butt, but there's kind of a catharsis in seeing that. Maybe because it reminds us of our own lives, being stuck in a loop, episode after episode, problem after problem, knowing that no matter what he tries, he'll try again next time.
Yeah.
Is that so evil? Beowulf is a story that was
Huh? Wait. I think this is a bad example. Like, I didn't even understand what his point was. Like, he's trying again. Yeah, that because the show wants him to continue. The show wants to continue. He's the main villain, pretty much. So yeah, it's also he's not really hurting anyone. It's not like Dracula who's actually killing, or I don't think the tiger killed anyone, did he? He just beat them up. Silco killed people. Yeah.
initially passed down by oral tradition. People would memorize the poem they heard, then perform it for the next generation. But then it was documented and written down and turned into countless adaptations. It's inspired the fabric of nearly all Western hero stories. It's even one of the key inspirations for The Lord of the Rings. Over and over, the story is told, and over, Grendel is killed. Through the art form of storytelling, like Doofenshmirtz, he is doomed to repeat his mistakes. Is that madness? Or is that just life? What does it look like when a villain tries to control the madness of reality, fighting to protect stability, but doing so through violent, often at times overpowering ways? Look no further than the one and only Spider-Man.
I haven't
2099.
watched this.
Technically, you might argue that Miguel O'Hara isn't a villain. He's not evil like Green Goblin or the Spot, he's just an antagonist, one that opposes the protagonist Miles Morales. And with that, I honestly agree.
You should look at
He
his
inhabits
cheeks.
a more
He's a
gray
Giga Chad.
space of somewhere from antagonist to anti-hero to villain. But at the same time, look at this guy. He's got vampire fangs. What? That's a villain right there. Okay, fine.
Yeah, he looks
He's not a
like one.
clear-cut villain. He's an antagonist with both heroic intentions and some villainous traits. Miguel is a Spider-Man that lost his entire dimension, and in this grief he becomes paranoid. He's a Spider-Man who doesn't quit, amassing an army of different spider people and pigs and horses and trying to control the great web of the multiverse. He surveys it all, trying to make sure that the canon events happen and that order remains in balance.
Okay,
But in doing
bad?
so, Miguel allows people to die. Canon events can entail horrific tragedies that
I don't know. I don't. How's that bad? He doesn't. What? What? He's not allowing them to die. They're dying because they have to die. What? Like, why do you have to save them? That is the way. Like, that's their future. Why would you? Why do you have to save them if you don't want to?
that must happen in
Like, how
order
does
to
that make him
maintain the
evil?
universe's stability. What other choice does he have?
Like, for example,
but
let's say the trolley. Let's put him in the trolley problem. Let's say he chooses left. Does that make him evil? Like, he didn't choose right? No. It's not his job to choose. Like, it's not his job to save people. Like, he just wants to maintain balance, right?
to become villainous in order to save everyone. From the perspective of Miles Morales, it's easy to see Miguel as a villain. He represents a darker Spider-Man who has
he's
seemingly
also,
given
okay.
up on saving.
To be fair, he's also a kid, so he has more. He's more delusional when it comes to heroes, and they're more perfect in his head.
certain people. And when
what he's
it's
doing
discovered that Miles may be
does seem
an
like a villain.
anomaly, Miguel ruthlessly traps him, trying to prevent him from saving his father from another villain. Is it the hero or the villain who should decide the fate of others? The webs of hero, anti-hero, and villain all become blurred.
Neither.
Miguel is right to try to save the universe, but is it right to let another Ben die over and over? Is it
Yeah.
right to watch Gwen Stacy fall to her doom 100 times over and
Yes. I don't see how this one's hard. Yes. If it's okay, so here's the thing: the universe. What's in the universe? She is. He is. If the universe dies, or something happens to it, they both die. What's gonna happen if you let them die? The universe survives. That means, well, they still die, but more people survive. You're saving more people, so it's a net
not do
positive.
anything?
I'd
At what
say.
point does it become too much? At what point does he become a true villain? Out of the different depictions of Beowulf, there's a book by John Gardner that follows Grendel's perspective instead. And based on that book, there's a 1981 animated film called Grendel, Grendel, Grendel. They have similarities and differences, but in the end, they give the villain of the story the main perspective, and we as the audience can't help but empathize with him. He's still a murderer. He revels in attacking the men of Hrothgar's mead hall. But the simple act of following him rather than Beowulf exposes his loneliness, his curiosity, and his humanity. Would Miles
make it
Morales
better,
become the villain if
personally.
he followed Miguel's perspective? Heroes or villains, monsters or humans, right or wrong? In this video, I've asked a lot of questions. Believe me, I wish I had more answers, man. But maybe that's the point of a villain being right. When someone supposedly evil has a point, then we question our own ideas of good. Villains reflect the injustices of society, giving us a lens to view our world and notice the darkness and the light. But through the extreme actions they take on, heroes are dragged into the fray. Innocents get hurt. In the game of hero and villain chess, the hero has 3 moves to respond to the
I
villain's
actually never
moral
finished
check.
Adventure Time.
The first is to
I'd stopped
deny
when he
that the
lost his
villain
arm.
was right, to find
he was
another
in
way.
his home
In
village
Spider-Verse, Miles runs
the
from
ocean.
Miguel, zooming on his way to find his father, rejecting the idea that all is lost, that people must die to be Spider-Man. Whether this is right or wrong, the villain moves the hero to act and to figure out their own truth. The second is for the hero to accept that they were wrong. Puss in Boots realizes that he needs to value his last life instead of recklessly wishing for the next. And the third and final way is somewhere in between. It is to listen to the villain and to try to teach them, to engage in a conversation and show them mercy. This is when the hero believes in both the good and the bad of their world. They try to come to an understanding between the flaws that the villain sees in the world and the goodness the hero knows still remains. In the comment section of the YouTube video on Grendel, 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 there's a comment that says that Peter Ustinov, the voice of Grendel, said that this film was a tribute to monsters who, after all, are doing their job, keeping us on our toes.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think this bears truth. Monsters and
Yeah, it's like
villains
a
all
wolf
alike
eating
force us to stay
or
vigilant
attacking you.
and to reconsider
Yeah.
what we know.
The
They
wolf
keep us
isn't
on our toes.
bad because it's
At the
attacking
end of
you.
the
It's just
film, after
doing what it
watching
does.
this bumbling mama's boy ogre observe humans, he enters the mead hall one last time, meeting his doom. Beowulf has arrived, and he manages to pull Grendel's arm off. Grendel begins to die. He stumbles outside, and we watch him lie there alone, calling for his mother. When I see this villain there alone, I can't help but feel sad. I don't think we should let Grendel
He shouldn't
devour
have
more
killed or
folks
done this
or
shit.
evil scientists take over the tri-state area. But
I
they do
haven't
deserve
read-
something.
I haven't read Grendel. There's probably a reason why he can't just be with them. Probably the fact that he looks like he's an undead or something, like they showed here, like this. This is probably the reason he can't
Let Grendel
get
devour
along.
more folks or evil scientists take over the tri-state area. But they do deserve something. They deserve to at least have someone to give them a chance and to listen to them. For it is an awful thing to die alone.
Poor Grendel's had an accident.
It was a good video. So the thing is, I was raised with if someone punches you, punch them twice as hard. So, so that's why, like, when I see these, it's like,
The
okay,
wife named
yeah,
Lisa.
they killed your wife. Okay, it makes sense that you want to get revenge, sure. But then you go and kill like innocent
Lisa.
bystanders that had nothing to do with your wife. Your wife, was, by the way, was a human just like them. So they might have also, you know, helped your wife. Like one of these guys might have helped your wife if they were there. Also, helping your wife would also, like the church would accuse you of being a demon as well, if you help her. So you both would have died either way. That's my main problem with that's the main reason he's a villain, at least to me, because he goes too far. To be fair, this guy, he's not really a villain. Like, I guess he's an antagonist, not a villain, because they are different, right? Antagonist. Yeah, he's an antagonist, not really a villain, right? Because I do think it's a different. That's why there are two different words. Let's see, Arcane, like there's no real villain or hero in Arcane because there's no main character. Like you could say Vi and Jinx are the main characters. I guess in that case, Piltover are the villains for treating them like that, and I would agree. You could also say that Jinx and these guys are terrorists, so they're the villain because
Also, almost
they launched a rocket at them, and they're also destroying their buildings. So, like, I would agree with that. I wasn't a fan of Phineas of the part with the Phineas and
this
Ferb
madness.
since like you compare with these villains, and it's like, dude, he's not really like he's just doing it for fun. He's bored, so he's just building shit and waiting for Perry the Platypus to come and stop him. Spider-Verse, I didn't watch. However, I'm not a fan of. You should have stopped it. You should have saved him. Why? It's his fate to die here. So why would you save him? Also, saving him could put the world in danger. Meaning, you save one person, and then like more die. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, hope you liked the video and my take on it. Like, subscribe, do all of that shit. See ya.